Diane, how much does this change the picture, especially these revisions, as Bostic was mentioning there? You think the Fed would have made a different decision if these numbers had been out days ago?
I'm not sure they would have made a different decision on the month of July, but I think this does nudge them obviously closer to September. It's still not a slam dunk. This is the hard part for the Fed. The important part for Bostic is he didn't say, hey, this is it, we're going to cut now, because he's one of those ones who actually was on the sidelines sort of forecasting stagflation, a mild bout of it, but not expecting any rate cuts at all this year. And I think that move you're seeing from him is very important, and we could easily see a September cut. But it's just the hard part for the Fed is living the actual forecast of flirting with stagflation, a rise in unemployment. As Steve said, this rounds up almost to 4.3%. And the only reason that we're seeing the unemployment rate really stay low is because the supply of workers has been constrained. We've lost 1.5 million, of course, not apples to apples, not seasonally adjusted foreign-born workers since April. That's a lot to lose. And we're seeing retirements pick up. They picked up in the month of April and accelerated again in the month of June. Those are baby boomers hitting 65 or a little bit older and taking their Social Security benefits, some of them taking them earlier for fear that they might not get benefits in the future.
Steve, it's also tough for the Fed that the tariff levels are a moving target just as much as the jobs number seems to be, right?
Well, yes, but I also think we've got a little bit more clarity on it. That was the question I asked to Fed Chair Powell. I think, John, we're in a place where you can kind of bank on 15%. I think that's where we're going to settle down. It looks like the president has zeroed in on that rate. And for the Fed, I think they can take that number to the bank and start to do their calculations based on that. And I don't think there'll be too much in the way of upside surprises to that number. There could be downside surprises. So where we're at right now, and just picking up on what Diane was talking about, is you've got a Federal Reserve that has to balance risks. It has risks to the upside on inflation, risks to the downside on jobs. The way they've told us they're going to handle that is by figuring out which one is likely to be, in the future, furthest from their target. Right now, it looks like there's a tilt, or could be a tilt, towards the concern that jobs end up being further from the target than inflation, which is to say they have to do what Chris Waller, the Fed governor, and Mickey Bowman, also a Fed governor, have done, which is to say, I feel pretty secure and confident that this inflation problem is going to be a one-time thing from inflation, from the tariffs, and not a more persistent problem, and deal with the employment side of the mandate.